What isn't like it is in the movies? Car accidents. People don't just lightly bleed from their heads then die. They are some of the goriest, most traumatic deaths I've seen outside of combat footage. Carrying an unconscious person. Found out the hard way when my wife was sick and fainted. An unconscious body is surprisingly limp and slippery. Try to lift them by the armpits. Nope, that just makes the arms flail and they'll slip right through your fingers. Try to lift them from under the knees and around the back. Nope, their back won't stay stiff enough and their ass will just sink to the floor. Not to mention their head is rolling around the whole time. Air conditioning vents silently and easily being removed or put in. Access denied. Override. Oh okay. Since you put it that way. Access granted. Ripping out your fore is a terrible idea. Taking matters into your own hands to defeat an entire group of criminals. Hacking. Walking into a bar and the news is showing a story about your exact situation. Working in an office. I really question whether a screenwriter or director has worked a regular 9-5 office job a day in their lives. I found the Air Bud series really set unrealistic standards for dogs. In movies they never say goodbye on the phone, they just hang up. Driving. Unlike in the movies, you really have to pay attention to the road. Parking too. It's very rare to get a space just outside where you need to be. Digging a grave. Soil is much harder than what movies pretend. They remove the headrests from cars in movies so you can see the actor better. Conversations really, in real life it is usually a lot of figuring out what the hell the actual underlying meaning is when someone is saying movies the scriptwriter came up with a solid quip for a response. Basically, everything about guns. Drywall and furniture don't stop bullets. Reloading is a thing. Please stop cocking your weapon to look cool, half of your rounds are on the ground. And so many more. Getting hit in the head. No John, you won't wake up with a minor headache 10 minutes later, you'll wake up a decade later with a wheelchair. Suppressors and hand grenades. Suppressors silencers in movies are way too quiet, and sound like a staple gun going off. In reality, they make a gun quieter, but they very much still sound like a gun, and anyone around will still hear it. Grenades in movies always make a giant explosion with a fireball, that makes bad guys fly through a window or ragdoll across a field. In real life, they make a loud bang, and a puff of smoke. They just throw shrapnel everywhere and make people bleed profusely. Breakfast in America, the mom makes a big spread with pancakes, bacon, and eggs, all that stuff. Just for someone to pick up a slice of toast and rush off. I'd be super pissed. Teachers or people with low-paying jobs owning or renting massive houses, apartments. CPR. It's that trope that causalities in the movies always come around at the very point during CPR that the other's characters are all giving up on them surviving. The chances of someone recovering from chest compressions and breaths alone are very slim. It's the critical intervention of a defibrillator that gives the casualty the greatest chance of survival. Living in a bad neighborhood. Most days nothing major happens. Waking up. You do not wake up fully refreshed, dressed, hair done, and the blankets are still neat on the bed. Talking on the phone. Going through glass. That shit is dangerous as fuck. Potential major lacerations every time. Speaking from my experience as well as 2 others. Blackjack dealers are not sleight of hand masters with the ability to magic up wins. They are as surprised at the cards coming out as anyone. Drugs. Sex. Hacking doesn't involve furious typing. It's more like running an antivirus scan to check for what the IT department forgot to lock down. Or sending a phishing email. Either way, it involves more waiting than typing. People recovering from amnesia due to a blow on the head, after getting another blow to the head. Come on, really? Crashing a car without a seat belt and just getting out virtually unscathed. Not locking your car. How many people park their car and just get out? This is particularly noticeable in older films before remote central locking was commonplace. Web searches brining up exactly what you want on the first attempt. Guns. No, you don't flinch that much when hit by a bullet. There's the possibility that your body does not even register process being hit by a bullet altogether. No, headshots will not make you shoot your head backwards and slowly fall down. If you catch a bullet to the head, you drop like a sack of potatoes. Nothing. Lights out. Death. We're a lot more brittle than you'd think, yet in the moments before death you might last long enough to tell your family you love them on a stranger's phone. Getting shot is not a flesh wound. Silencers on guns. Explosions sound in space. Pretty much everything. Nobody has that many interesting things happen to them. Nobody is as quick and witty as movies would have you believe. Watching a real person's life would be boring with very long stretches between even slightly significant events. Especially in kung fu karate fights, bad guys respectfully wait for their turn to be taken out by the main guy. They never attack all together at the same time. The lack of farts, peeing, and shitting. Sharks. Movies make you think they are bloodthirsty man-eaters, who kill humans for sport. Although they aren't 100% harmless, most sharks don't actually like the taste of human and will spit it out. They also often say shark-infested waters, which is like saying human-infested buildings. It pissed me off to no extent how bad they portray sharks in movies. Pointing at a girl in a bar and saying, "You see that girl? I'm going to marry her someday," and then somehow doing so. 1. High school never ends. 2. You can't outrun an explosion. 3. Hackers don't type furiously on a keyboard to break into a system. 4. Love at first sight rarely leads to a happily ever after. 5. The hero doesn't always save the day in the nick of time. 6. Villains don't always have an evil laugh or wear all black. 7. Cars don't explode when they crash. 8. Nobody can fight off a group of attackers without getting a scratch. 9. People don't always have witty comebacks ready in every situation. 10. The geeky girl doesn't always end up with the popular guy. John Wick hasn't eaten in 4 movies. Happy endings. Even the absolute best day of your life ends and you wake up next day. You commute to your job, put up with your boss bullshit, get irritated by the never-ending gossip of Megan from work and go back to home to a cup of instant ramen and beef on Netflix. Leaving half-eaten plates of food. I can't eat right now. Of course you can't, you're too busy being in a movie. Guns clicking and rattling just from people handling them in a basic way. If it sounds like that, chances are it's not going to work. Okay, scrolled long enough and haven't seen anyone bring up family dynamics. I personally spent way too much of my life longing for a family life like those in the movies. Where everyone has their quirks and dysfunctions but still manage to be a family unit and have each other's backs when shit gets tough, and they have that unconditional love. Reality is nothing like the movies. And not all mothers are as loving and doting on their daughters like I nearly always see in movies. I can promise my birth giver was my nemesis from early on. I'm no Ryan fucking Gosling, she's no Emma fucking Stone. There's no Lala in my land. If I get out of the car in the middle of the traffic and start dancing, they would either beat me or arrest me, probably both. Recovering quickly from a kick to the balls. In real life, you'd be useless for